Welcome to our channel Scripture Explained. If you have not subscribed, please do it now and press the like and bell button. Dear brothers and sisters, today we will reflect on a very serious and instructive event from the Holy Scriptures. This is the event of the wickedness and destruction of the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, as described in the book of Genesis. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah teaches us that God does not tolerate sin, and when the limit of sin is crossed, God's judgment surely comes. Before we proceed further in the Word, we request you, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please do so today and turn on the notification bell so that you can be notified as soon as we post new videos. Thank you. Let us move forward. Through this sermon, we will reflect on the wickedness of the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, the judgment of God, Abraham's intercession, and finally, the ways to escape wickedness. Let us pay attention to the main points of this event. The wickedness of Sodom and Gomorrah. The people of Sodom and Gomorrah were deeply involved in grave sins against God. Genesis says, "But the people of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinful before the Lord." These cities were completely immersed in pride, immorality, violence, and adultery. Their sins were evidence of their social and moral downfall. Instead of love and mercy, they lived in violence. Instead of purity, in immorality. This teaches us that when sin increases in a society and people forget the commandments of God, that society heads toward moral and spiritual decline. The cities of Sodom and Gomorrah had reached the peak of this downfall. God's judgment and the warning of justice. God, having seen the wickedness of Sodom and Gomorrah, decided to destroy them. In Genesis, God said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and their sin is very grievous. I will go down and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry that has come to me." Despite his mercy and love, God refused to tolerate the wickedness of these cities and decided to judge them. God's judgment is just and impartial. He does not show favoritism and surely punishes sin. This is a warning to us that the result of sin is always destruction. God abandoned these cities because of their sin and brought them to an end. Violating holiness always leads to punishment. Abraham's intercession, a confluence of mercy and justice. When God told Abraham that he was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham prayed for the cities. In Genesis, Abraham pleaded with God, saying if there were 50, 40, 20, or even 10 righteous people, would he spare the city? This plea of Abraham reflects God's heart of mercy, that he wants to destroy sin, not sinners. God repeatedly listened to Abraham's intercession, but not even one righteous person was found in Sodom and Gomorrah. From Abraham's intercession, we learn that we should pray for sinners and plead with God for their salvation. God is merciful and hears prayers. Lot and his family, God's mercy and their salvation. To save Lot and his family, God sent his angels. In Genesis, it is written that the angels said to Lot, "We will destroy this place because the outcry to the Lord against its people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it." Here we see God's mercy. He sent angels to rescue Lot's family from destruction. God instructed Lot to immediately leave the city with his family and not to look back. Lot's deliverance is proof that God protects his righteous ones. When we walk in holiness and faith, God sends his help to rescue us from trouble. Lot's wife, the consequence of disobedience. When Lot and his family were leaving the city, God clearly instructed them not to look back. But Lot's wife disobeyed this command and looked back. In Genesis, it is written, "But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt." Here we understand the importance of complete obedience to God's commandments. When we ignore God's instructions and act according to our own desires, the result is destruction. Lot's wife becoming a pillar of salt teaches us that we must fully obey God's commands and never look back toward a life of sin. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, God's just judgment. Ultimately, God completely destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. In Genesis it is written, "Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah, from the Lord out of the heavens." Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, including all those living in the cities, and also the vegetation in the land. This scene is extremely terrifying and clearly shows the judgment of God. The people of Sodom and Gomorrah were immersed in rebellion and sin against God, and therefore they were destroyed. It teaches us that God is holy and surely judges sin. When we reject His justice, we lead ourselves toward destruction. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah teaches us to be alert to the consequences of sin. What lessons do we learn? We learn several important lessons from this event. God's justice and holiness. God is holy and just. He does not tolerate sin, and when its limit is crossed, His judgment surely comes. We must uphold holiness in our lives. Prayer and intercession. Abraham's prayer teaches us that we must pray for the salvation of sinners. God is merciful and listens to prayer. God's mercy. God saved Lot's family through His mercy. This assures us that God protects His righteous ones. We must remain faithful to Him to experience His mercy. Obedience to God's command. Lot's wife becoming a pillar of salt teaches us to obey God's commands fully and not look back toward a sinful life. Be alert to sin. The wickedness and destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah warn us to be watchful against sin. The path of sin ultimately leads to destruction. Trust in God. The salvation of Lot and his family teaches us that God delivers His faithful people. So friends, this was today's message. If you have been blessed by this video, please like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video with a new blessing. God bless you.